Hello, beautiful magnetic feminine ladies. Welcome to The One, falling madly in love with yourself. I know I say this all the time, but I really think this is the best masterclass I'm gonna give ever, or that I've ever given yet so far. The best masterclass of my life so far. This is gonna be it. I shared a post about this recently, so as you're hopping on, let me know that you're here so that I can say hi, so that I can see who's here. And I shared a post about this last week because I felt like in my gut that, and I felt in my soul that I was meant to deliver the one. Hi, Terry Lynn. I was meant to deliver this masterclass, but I already delivered this in January. Like with this branding and everything. And so I was like, okay, universe, are you sure? Because like, why would people want to hear the same thing again? Like, I get that, to an extent with repeated listening, we hear things differently, things hit differently. Like, I get that that's a real thing to an extent. It's why I listen to programs multiple times. When I invest in a program, like I listen to the modules multiple times. Hi, Bree! And so I was like, maybe that's why, because like maybe just people need to hear it again. But what ended up happening was completely like, wow, of course this is why. So I ended up downloading this content on a deeper level with more clarity, more precision, in a more tangible way than I've ever said this. Hi, Tanya. And I know that the way that I'm going to be saying this today, the way that I'm going to be teaching you about self-love and self-mastery, your relationship with yourself, I'm so excited to give this to you today, and I'm so glad that it's free so that you can come back, you can watch this. Hi Danielle, hi Kiana. I'm like, this information, the way that I taught it before was still life-changing, and I don't want to like say, oh, that was crap, don't listen to what I said before. What I said before back in January in the one masterclass was still amazing. For those of you who were there, like, it was still awesome. But this, we're going deeper, we're getting clearer, more precise, more tangible. Like, it's gonna click today. It's gonna click, and I'm so excited. I downloaded this, like, let me just paint you a little picture here. I happened to just, like, I have my journal here, and I happened to just, like, open up to a page in early August. In early August, to be honest, I was feeling really lost in my business. I literally wrote, like, I'm lost. I resent my business. I resent this. I don't know what's going on with me. I'm scared. I'm scared things aren't working. Like, I had a lot of fear. I was really in it. And that was only a few weeks ago. And then in the last week, I have downloaded and received tools and ways of working with myself and interacting with myself that, like, the last few days, the magic that has been happening since I started really putting this into practice, I can't wait to share this with you. So you're all on pins and needles ready to hear this. So why don't we start with, oh, and Bree, you'll recognize this. I was in Bree's wedding the weekend before. And I was a bridesmaid, and I got a beautiful, like, bridesmaid glass with crystals in it, and it's so pretty, and I love drinking from it. So I want you to start. Hi, Natalie. Okay, we're gonna close our eyes now. I'm gonna start by taking you through a process that's gonna really help this land. So if you're driving, obviously don't close your eyes. Maybe just come back to this later, or do it the best you can in the situation you're in. And I want you to think about some of the things that you really desire. Some of the things that you know are possible for yourself, but maybe you don't know how to get there. Maybe you don't know the timing of it, but like maybe the kind of relationship you desire. Maybe it's traveling. Maybe it's a really wildly successful business or career. Maybe it's just like a crap ton of money from you don't know where yet. Maybe it's having children. Maybe it's buying a new house. I want you to just like think about some of these big desires that you have right now that maybe the path's kind of unclear. That you don't really know when it's going to happen, how it's going to happen, if it'll ever happen, but they're just desires that maybe you've been holding for a really long time. Maybe some of them are newer, fresher. Maybe you haven't had time to get jaded about some of them yet. Maybe some of them you're feeling very jaded. But think about some of these desires. Now, I want you to imagine all of these desires almost like they're in a snow globe in your body. Inside your body. They're not things that exist outside of you. They are in you. And this is not a new concept. This idea of your desires are within you. Everything that you desire, we access it within us. So let's just visualize for a moment that everything that we desire, all of the potential that we can imagine for ourselves at this moment in time, doesn't exist out there anywhere, but it exists in you. So like imagine putting that snow globe inside your body that contains images of all of these gorgeous things that you desire. The relationship, the money, the success, the family, all the things. Now, imagine the outer casing of that snow globe just kind of disappears, and now these desires are filling your body, and they're like encoded in every cell of your body. So where did we think these desires came from, really? They're encoded, and just let them like light up your entire body from head to toe. Feel the frequency of these desires vibrating in every cell of your body. They're not out there anywhere. The potential, all of the massive potential for these desires already exists in you. Similar to the way that a plant, a tree, there's a huge tree right outside my window that started out as a seed. And inside that seed was contained everything that was necessary for that tree to grow into the massive tree that it is now, right outside my window. There was nothing out there. It was all contained within the tree. So breathe that in. Everything, all the potential that exists for every single desire you've ever had and that you will ever have in your lifetime exists coded in you as pure potential. The tree didn't have to go looking for leaves elsewhere to add to itself. The leaves blossomed effortlessly from the tree. And the only thing the tree needed was what? It needed nurturing. The seedling needed to be nurtured. The needs of the tree had to be met in order for that little seed to become the huge tree that it is outside my window right now. I don't know how old this tree is, but it started as a seedling that contained all the potential, and it has grown into a tree. We started as an egg, and now look at us, fully grown ass humans, sitting here watching this live stream, wandering the world, interacting with the world. All of who we are already exists. Everything that you will ever be in this lifetime already exists within you. So you can open your eyes and just take a deep breath and breathe that in. There literally is nothing out there that you're looking for. It's never been out there. It never will be out there. All of your desires, hi Tina, all of your desires are encoded in you, just like the current visual of the tree. Oh, it's 11:11 and there are 11 people on live. I love it. The current state of the tree, that potential existed in the seedling, and the tree didn't have to look elsewhere to get leaves or anything from outside of itself in order to become the tree. It just required its needs to be met. It required sunlight, soil, water, and, as a matter of fact, the strength that trees are, the strength that trees need in order to withstand being outside. It also needs wind in order to strengthen it. It needs to be shaken a little bit. It needs to be moved. It needs to be swayed to build the strength to withstand the elements. So there is nothing outside of the tree that, you know what I'm saying? Like the tree already had everything in it, but it required its needs to be met. The way that we generally try to meet our needs as humans is that we're putting energy out into the world. We're like trying, we're forcing, like we're putting energy out, and then we realize, oh crap, I'm feeling depleted. And then if we are somewhat attuned to ourselves, like we'll set a boundary and we'll say, okay, I need to start feeding this energy back into myself, because like I've been putting energy out, I need to replenish myself. This is how most of us who are even aware of self-care tend to approach it. But doing it this way is like demanding a flower to bloom before we give it water. Can you imagine looking at a garden, looking at a potentially beautiful flower in a garden and saying, you need to bloom first, and then I'll give you water, then I'll give you sunshine, then I'll give you the right soil, I'll check the pH and take care of you, but you have to bloom first. That doesn't work. What makes the flower bloom is the nurturing that we provide for it. And so we've had a very, very backwards relationship to self-care our whole lives, because we've grown up in a very inherently capitalist society, which tells us we have to work first, and then if there's anything left over, any time left over, any money, any energy left over, then you can treat yourself a little bit. But how does it really work? When we look at flowers and trees, we can easily see that it's something that I've come to, a mantra that I've come to repeat with myself is nurture inward, bloom outward. So the way that we operate, that I just described a moment ago, is we exert effort outward into the world. We're trying, we're creating, we're forcing, like outside of our energy, outside of ourselves. And then we try to reel it back in through self-care and like, oh, I gotta take care of myself, until we get to, so starting here with our energy, we're forcing outward. And then we're like, okay, I'm going to bring my energy back to myself a little bit. I'm going to self-care myself. I'm going to take a nap. I'm going to eat a vegetable. I'm going to have some water. And then the minute we get to like kind of here, we're like, okay, I've given myself enough attention. Then we're back to putting it outside of ourselves again. But what I'm suggesting to you here, and what has created intense magic these last few days, and I'll tell you a bit about that soon, is when we start here, when we wake up in the morning, before we've done anything, ideally, but not, I get that that's not necessarily realistic for everybody, but before we've put anything out, when we nurture inward and we imagine this whole, like, all of our desires encoded in your body, and you spend moments connecting with that first, and you're asking yourself, what do I need right now? Before I'm feeding anyone else's needs, which for me, you know, when my kids are in school, I have to get up at 5:30 in the morning to do this before they wake up. That's the only way I can fit it in when they're here, before I have to take care of them. But connecting with this whole universe of desires that exists within you, that's literally coded into every cell of your body. And instead of saying, what do I need to do to earn this today? What do I need to do? Where do I need to put my energy outwards? But how do I need to be nurtured today? Nurture inward. So if I'm a flower, one cannot demand that I bloom unless I've, like, blooming is a natural result of being nurtured. It is a natural and predictable result of being nurtured. A gardener can predictably give a flower bed what it needs, and the flowers will bloom. It's just, that's how it works. And the gardener, if it notices that a particular flower is not thriving, then it will say, okay, what need is not being met here? Is it too close to the other ones? The roots are not given chance to expand? Is it not getting enough sunlight? Like, do I need to move it somewhere else? But it's always about what needs are not being met here. And the gardener knows that a thriving garden is a very predictable result of the flower's needs being met, the plant's needs being met. And we are the same as humans. So the world that we have around us, your environment, your home, your work, your family, your friends, your partner, like everything that makes up your environment. The question to ask yourself is, am I in the sun? Am I putting myself in the sunlight that I need? Am I feeding myself the water, the sunlight? Am I giving myself the right kind of soil? Have I given myself enough space between the other plants? Do I have room to grow? Is my environment naturally conducive to my growth? And if the answer is no, this is where we need to heal our relationship with our own masculine energy. So I used to have a money tree plant in this room here in my bedroom. But unfortunately, because of this massive tree that's outside of my window, there's not quite enough light for the money tree to sit on that table over there across the room and still get enough light. So the money tree, the leaves started turning a bit yellow. And because a plant doesn't have masculine energy. It is not a self-directed thing. It requires my masculine energy to take care of it, right? We can conceptually understand this. A plant is only just pure feminine energy. It will thrive or not thrive based on my masculine energy, my ability to take care of it, to be attuned to it, to observe it and say, are your needs getting met? And if not, what do you need? And me providing it for the plant. So when I see the plant's leaves turning brown, I said, okay, it's clearly too dark in here. It's not getting enough sunlight. And so I moved it to my living room close to the window. Easy peasy. Now it's thriving. It's growing. The leaves are beautiful and thick and green and lovely, and it's wonderful. That is because my masculine energy took the plant and put it in the sunlight, and I continue to water it and all of that. So a plant is at the mercy of the masculine energy around it. Now we as humans, we are lucky enough to have a mix of both. You know, us as women, we have this wonderful feminine energy where we thrive, like where blooming is a natural result of being nurtured. It's a predictable result of proper nurturing. Now, the issue is that a lot of us are not nurturing ourselves. We might be either militarizing our own masculine energy against ourselves and like going, go, 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 and like not even creating enough space for our feminine energy to breathe. Or we might be going in the complete opposite direction, which is there's like no masculine direction within ourselves, and it's just feminine energy like at the mercy of whatever masculine energy is around you, and there's no self-directed healthy masculine energy. And so what ends up happening is that would be like the plant sitting in the corner there, and instead of saying, okay, I'm not getting enough sunlight here, I need to move where there's more sunlight. This is my responsibility. Let's say I'm a plant. This is my responsibility as a plant. If my needs aren't getting met in the corner of this bedroom, then I need to find a spot where the sun is shining. The sun is shining regardless. Like the sun is never not, the sun is never not shining. So my responsibility is just to put myself in the path of it. As a plant, it's to put myself in the path of the sun. The sun is always there. It's always shining. There is an abundance of sun, but it's my responsibility to put myself in the path of where the sun already exists. What would not work is if I was sitting in the corner of this bedroom here and saying, I don't want to move. Sun, you need to like find some way to bend your rays to come find me where I am and nurture me, because I don't want to move. I shouldn't have to do anything. I shouldn't have to do anything different. I demand you find a way to accommodate me. And this is wounded energy. This is where we're trying to control the uncontrollable. We're trying to control what's outside of ourselves. We're trying to make other people and circumstances change and bend to suit ourselves, when really all we have to do is pick our fine butts up and put ourselves in the rays of sun. Now, there are people in this world who've never had to learn how to direct their energy. They were born into such a life where they've always had someone taking care of them. They were always safe. They never had, nobody was mistreating them, abusing them. They never had any kind of trauma like that. And there was just always someone providing for them, protecting them, and they were able to just purely, like a plant, stay in their feminine energy. And if they weren't thriving, someone was attuned to it and put them somewhere else. And like that would be what it would be like if we were purely in feminine energy and we were really in an environment where there is really safe and solid masculine energy. Which is why I love, when we're in relationships, we get to embody a lot of that in relationships when we're in our healthy feminine energy. However, a lot of us did not grow up in an environment where we had a lot of safe, solid, protective, provider masculine energy around us, and we had to sort of compensate. And the way a lot of us attempt to do that is the ways that I just mentioned. Either the wounded masculine energy of trying to tell the sun to shine differently to accommodate me, because the plant doesn't know how to direct its own energy, so it demands someone else direct their energy differently. Or they just turn completely into wounded feminine energy, which is just complete avoidance and being a doormat and like not knowing how to direct your energy at all. It's kind of like a river without a riverbed. Like there is no direction. So a really, like, one of the most powerful activators of our feminine energy is actually our masculine energy. And, you know, in magnetic femininity, I focus a lot on teaching feminine energy. But what I have found is that one of the more powerful aspects of being in your feminine energy is your ability to be self-directed and contained and empowered in your masculine energy. We need both. We need both. So let's talk, like, speaking of magnetic femininity, let's talk about what magnetism actually is. Magnetism is the fact that right now in this moment there are 13 of you here live. Just listening. Nobody's holding a gun to your head. Nobody forced you. I didn't reach out to you individually and say like, hey, come to this master. Like, there is no force whatsoever. I made some posts and you saw either an email or a post or whatever, and you decided, ooh, I want to go to that. Maybe it's because you've seen my stuff before and you just know that whatever I put out there is going to be good and going to feel good to you. Or maybe it's your first time here and you're just like, for some reason this speaks to me and I want to go there. So for whatever reason, you're here. And I didn't have to force it at all. So magnetism inherently implies a lack of outward force. If I had come to you and like kind of aggressively told you to come to this masterclass, you probably wouldn't be here. And there's one exception. Like I sent out an email that I actually did message one of my best friends because I was like, you need to come to this masterclass, or you need to watch it. I'm going to send it to you after. You need to watch it because you actually need this. But she's my best, like one of my best friends. So I knew that it, like the energy was not wonky in doing that. And I would have been totally fine if she didn't. I wouldn't have been insulted, but she's really excited to watch this. So magnetism inherently implies a lack of outward force, but it's just a light that you are drawn toward. You are drawn toward it for whatever reason. In this case, you knew there was something here for you, so you were willing to invest an hour or so of your time, which I so appreciate, and I never take that for granted. And you're here. You are magnetized to this masterclass. Some of you have been magnetized to be my clients in some way, shape, or form. Some of you are magnetized to just being in the free group, and that's amazing. But for however you found yourself here, you were magnetized and there was no force whatsoever. So magnetism, like if we go back to the flower here, the flower, when it's nurtured inward toward all of the vision of the finished flower that's encoded inside the flower, that the flower knows what to do, and when it's nurtured, that blooming is the natural result of the nurturing. When the flower does bloom, it's not blooming to try to get your attention. It's not blooming and being like, hey, look at me. It's not doing a Ron Burgundy and saying, I look good. I mean real good. Hey everyone, come and see how good I look. The flower is just blooming because that is what it is encoded to do. Just like you are encoded to have your desires, whatever those desires are for you, that are encoded in your body. And that is the reason you desire them, by the way. It's impossible to really desire something that there's no way in hell you could ever have. It's encoded in you. The path exists, you just don't know what it is yet, but the path exists. So when a flower blooms as a natural result of the nurturing, it's not extending its energy outward. It goes nurture in, bloom out. Nurture in, bloom out. Nurture inward, bloom out. So everything that is already encoded inside the flower, all the DNA, all of the whatever is inside a flower, it simply gets activated through the nurturing. And so when we're watering a garden, for example, we're watering a garden, and you'll ask anyone who really loves gardening, why do you take care of it? Because they love it. Not because they're like standing over the flower and saying, bloom, goddammit. They're just like, I'm gonna nurture this. I'm gonna nurture these flowers and these plants because they bring so much beauty and value to my life just by being, and I'm gonna love on them and nurture them. And if they're not thriving, then I'm gonna try to figure out why not. I'm gonna Google it. I'm gonna measure the pH of the soil. I'm gonna move it to a different location where there's different levels of sunlight. I'm gonna water it more often or less often. I'm gonna figure out what it needs to thrive. And far too many of us are taking a very prescribed approach to our own needs. Having people tell you exactly what you should eat, that gluten is bad and this is bad. Having people tell you exactly what kind of exercise you should be doing. Having people tell you you should be going out with your friends X number of times a week. Having people tell you, exactly what you should be doing to take care of yourself. But there's nothing that people can prescribe that will be 100% accurate for you. And the thing is what's accurate for you one day is not even going to be accurate for you the next day, or the next week, or the next month, or the next year. So this is where the self-love comes in. True self-love is like the gardener who is just always attuned to her garden and notices if something's not thriving. She comes closer to it and she says, what do you need? She's like, okay, I'm gonna Google it. I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna take care of you. I'm gonna get you what you need. So true self-love is us treating ourselves like that. Instead of having someone tell you, you need to do this with your body, you need to do this meditation ritual, you need to do this and that to love yourself. What if there's just there's 8 billion people on this planet? What if there are 8 billion definitions of self-love? And what if those 8 billion definitions change every single day? And what if the whole definition of self-love is having fun exploring that? Or, think about how it feels when you have a partner who's not expecting you to be the same every single day. Who is willing to, not only willing, but who loves to ask you, what do you need today? Who are you today? Not, who are you today? What do you need today? But who are you today? With curiosity, with openness, and with a willingness to say, okay, your wish is my command, I've got you. This is what it means to nurture inward. Baths can be a great form of self-care if that's what you really need in that moment. And other times, baths are, okay, I need to, I was told self-care would bring me miracles, so I'm going to take a bath, I'm going to cross my fingers and hope for the best, and hope that all of the miracles that I'm desiring come in, and I can just rub them out in the tub and I'll get everything I've ever wanted. But maybe that's not what you need right in that moment. Maybe what you need is a sweaty workout. Maybe what you need is a snack. Maybe what you need is a nap. Maybe what you need is physical contact, maybe some hugs with your kids or your partner or your family or your friends. We are human beings, and we're not as simple as a plant. We need more than, 2 or 3 things: water, light, and soil. We have a very complex set of needs in order to be really blooming in our life. Because everything that you see around you, the house you live in, the family that you've created, the relationships you've created, everything about your life is the state of blooming that you're in right now. And sorry, I just lost my train of thought. One of my boyfriends just drove by. So anyway, as I was saying, I still get like flustered and when I say boyfriends, I don't mean an exclusive relationship. When I say one of my boyfriends, I mean somebody that I'm seeing. So I like totally just brain farted right there. What was I saying? We have complex needs. We have complex needs. And part of the fun of being human and building a relationship with yourself is every single day saying, what do I need today? And not treating it like a chore or an obligation. If a partner treats our needs as an obligation or a chore, do we feel worthy with them? Do we feel like it's safe to have needs with them? Do we feel like we can go to them with anything if every single time we go to them with needs, they're like, oh, what now? We're going to feel really abandoned with that partner. And it's the same with ourselves. When we treat ourselves that way, when we treat ourselves as like, oh, what do you need now? Like, oh, fine, I'll do self-care again. How does that make your heart feel when that's how you're looking at your relationship with yourself, as a burden, as a chore, as an obligation? Yeah, who you are today is different than who you're going to be tomorrow. There are some days when the thing that I need most is just to sleep and be a log all day, and at the end of the day I feel like, I needed that so much and I feel so much better. Other days when I'm a log and doing nothing, I feel drained. At the end of the day, I feel like, like I don't feel good. And so when I started, like actually one of the portal clients asked me, like, how do you heal your worthiness wounds? And this is a massive piece of it. We feel worthy when we treat ourselves as worthy. And what does it mean to treat yourself as worthy? It means nurture inward so that you can bloom. The blooming part is effortless. And here's the thing. It doesn't mean you'll never take action. You will. So as an example of some of the really amazing things that have happened in the last few days since I started like intentionally playing with this energy, one of the things was I hadn't touched my bookkeeping in months. Confession, like, it's not my favorite part of my business, but normally I do it every week, and I hadn't touched it since like early June. So I had been feeling that nagging, like, I gotta sit down and catch up on reconciling all the transactions, uploading my receipts, like, And when I started playing with this energy of just nurturing myself and really connecting with all of this, imagining all of these desires encoded in my DNA, the way that a plant's full actualization is already coded within it. I remember being in the bathroom and I was like, I feel like catching up on my accounting. And I did it within an hour and it was effortless. Like, there were a couple of little messes to clean up because I had left it for so long, but like, it was really effortless, and I was like, and then I'm done. And same thing with like things that need to be cleaned up, or like So it's not that you just won't ever do anything, but when you nurture inward first, part of the blooming is there will be some action that you will feel inspired to take, and it won't be something that you're like, oh, I have to sit down and do this, I have to do that. Like I cleaned my kitchen so deeply this weekend because I was like, I just felt like it. And there was no reason for it. There was nobody coming over that I was like, oh my God, like I don't want them to see. There was nothing like that. It was just like, I feel inspired to. And one thing that I also noticed when I was playing with this energy is, especially when I was doing my accounting. So that accounting catch up was like part of the blooming. It's part of the result of being really at ease and at peace financially, right? And I noticed that when I was done it, and maybe you've experienced this too, is like when you're in motion, sometimes it can be a little hard to stop. I finished the work that I was doing to catch up on my accounting, and then I caught myself kind of still like trying to continue to push energy outward, even though I'd kind of reached the end of my energy. I'd reached the boundary of what felt really genuinely good to do, but it was almost like a habit kicked in of, well, we're working right now, so let's just like keep going. Even though there was no real purpose, there was no real aligned energy behind what I was trying to continue doing. And so I set a boundary with myself and I said, okay, we're gonna shut the laptop and we're gonna go nurture inward again. And it's just been that, like keeping my energy, holding my energy here, and nurture inward, bloom outward, nurture inward, bloom outward, nurture inward, bloom outward, nurture inward, bloom outward, rather than expend, try to fill myself up a little bit, expend, can you see how much more potent your energy is, or would be, if it was kept like this? I nurture inward, I nurture every cell in my body, in whatever way I need to be nurtured that day. And then the natural result is I bloom outward. I take the actions, I feel the inspiration. I do that where I sit down to do 1 month, end up doing 2, and feel so drained after. Yeah, so it's about knowing your limits and being aware of your energy and being aware of that little shift that happens when you're like, oh, I'm not doing, this isn't blooming anymore, it's expending. Learn the difference between blooming and expending. It's a very different energy. Your blooming is effortless. Like, even though, like, I don't love doing accounting work in my business, but that felt really effortless. It didn't feel like something that was like, oh, such a drag. It just felt like blooming. And so a lot of people worry, like, oh, if I don't make myself do the hard things, I won't do them. But it's not true. It's not true. A lot of people have a misguided idea of what it means to be in feminine energy. And they think, oh, feminine energy just means doing less. But that's not what it is at all. And the reason why I've been just like wildly productive despite feeling like I'm not really doing anything these last few days is because my masculine energy is directing my feminine energy. And so there's no force. Now these last few days, like, and this was brought on, by the way, last week, my transmission of my car. I found out that it's fried. It needed to be completely replaced, which is almost $5,500. I had a lot of emotions coming up around that. And as I leaned into those emotions, like for those of you who've done the Deeply Happy Woman program, all the work that I lay out in there, I did it. I took myself through my own processes. I did all of it. And the codes that it opened up in me led to these realizations about blooming inwards, and nurturing inwards, blooming outwards, and the fact that like every single thing that we ever want is already encoded in us, and it's just giving ourselves the water and the soil and the sunlight that we need. So if it's that simple, why, like, what's the problem then, right? It's because we don't let it be that simple. If you're sitting here listening to this, chances are you're thinking some version of, yeah, but what about that? But what if but what if everything falls, like what if I focus on nurturing inward and like things don't get done? Like everything relies on me in order to get done. Like you probably have some resistance to this. And if you do, I want to say that's normal. I want to say if you didn't have any resistance to this whatsoever, you'd be doing it already. So if you're not doing it, there's a very good chance that there's part of your mind that maybe wants to fight it a little bit. Even if generally like you're like, oh my gosh, this makes so much sense, like I want to do it, there still could be some fears that come up around it. Everything relies on me. If I don't do it, it doesn't get done. I don't deserve to put myself first. Here's the thing. Self-love and self-care is the most foundational piece of your human existence. It is not an option. It is not a luxury. That's like to go back to the flower, to say that it needs to bloom before it deserves water and sunlight. That's not how nature works, and we are nature. We get very disconnected from nature sometimes, so we forget that. But we are nature. And like anything else in nature, we can't thrive unless our needs are adequately met, abundantly met. If we want to thrive and bloom, and I know that you're here in my world because you've got big desires. Whether that's like the relationship of your dreams, the house of your dreams, the career, the business, the family, the like, whatever it is, you have big desires, which means big blooms. And so we're trying to expend energy out there to get in, when really we just need to take a watering can and give ourselves some water, whatever water is for you on any given day. And then there are going to be some needs that only need to be met every once in a while. And then there's needs that need to be met multiple times a day, like food, for example. Obviously, we need food multiple times a day. That's just the nature of our bodies. And when we don't get food, well, we get hangry. I know I do. But we don't function. We don't bloom. Think about when you're hangry. Do you feel like you're a blooming flower? When you haven't eaten all day, it's supper time. Your kids are asking, what's for dinner? Or your partner. Do you feel like a beautiful flower who's blooming in that moment? I don't. Me too. I know. But if I've been feeding myself and feeding my needs throughout the day, I handle that a lot better. We are different people when our needs are met versus when our needs are not met. So it is my responsibility, and this is something I teach in Magnetic Feminine Mother, that like I know. So this is funny, like quick side story. I just mentioned that I was in Bree's wedding in the last, not this weekend, the last one. And the day before the wedding, the day before the wedding was like so insanely stressful for Bree. Like there was so much to do and all of the details were in her head. And so everybody was kind of like, what do you want for this? Like, where do you want this? Like, what do you, as we were setting up and everything. And poor Bree just was very underfed and overstimulated and all the things. So once we got away from the venue and we're on our way to the rehearsal dinner, she had me and then one of her other bridesmaids, Charmaine, in the car, and we were like, get it out, like get the rage out, like just full license to just bitch. Like, we know that this is no reflection on your relationship. Like, I know that this is just where you're at in this moment, so just get it out. And we're like, do you need to scream? She's like, yeah. And she's like, in the car. And then we got to the rehearsal dinner and I stole her away and shoved a plate of food in her hand. I'm like, eat this. Tame the raging bull. And then the next day I made sure that Bree was well fed for the wedding because we didn't want that added stress. So this is the thing, like I took it on as my job that day as a bridesmaid to be like, okay, have you eaten? When was the last time you ate? When was the last time you ate? Because, you know, for those of you who've been married or had a wedding, like, there's just a lot of details, you know this. So, like, making sure that our physical needs are met so that we can really bloom on your wedding day and not be like the raging bull. You're welcome. Oh my gosh, right? I know. This is the thing. So we need to take charge of, if we're a plant sitting in the corner of a dark room and being upset that we're not thriving, then we need to learn how to heal our relationship with our masculine energy, because we've got all kinds of messy stuff going on with our masculine energy. We've got wounds around responsibility. We've got wounds around taking action. We've got wounds around integrity and discipline. We've got wounds galore around our masculine energy. Many of us, I know I definitely did. Like, a lot of my heart work has been around my relationship with my dad, who's wonderful, by the way, but I felt very unseen, like just who I am felt like it wasn't what he wanted. And I've healed that, and we have a fabulous relationship now, but I had to heal my wounds around taking responsibility and integrity and discipline and all of the masculine energy things, so that I can direct my feminine energy really powerfully and effectively. And so this is the first time in Magnetic Femininity that I really talk about, and that I'm going to be really teaching in depth on healing your masculine energy, as opposed to just being in your empowered feminine energy. Because we do need both. The thing is you can have really beautiful feminine energy, but if you don't have the ability to direct it, to take the plant and put it in the sunlight, your feminine energy is a riverbed with no water. You need to have this, because what happens when you don't is that you become at the mercy of whatever masculine energy is around you. You become at the mercy, and sometimes that's not going to be good, ladies. If you're lucky, you'll be surrounded with beautiful, protective, wonderful masculine energy, and you won't have to be self-directed at all, but you'll be okay. That's not the reality in most situations. We want to self-direct ourselves, you know, to fit this in with what I teach about relationships. We have to learn to self-direct ourselves, to put ourselves in the path of where these beautiful masculine men are. So many times people ask me, where do you find these men? Where do you find these men who have healthy boundaries, who respect your boundaries, who communicate so well, who treat you like a queen, who like show up for you, who pay for dates, who open the doors, who like can connect with you? Where do you find these men? Same place we find any man. On Tinder, at the grocery store, on the airplane, like wherever. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter where you are, they're everywhere. But if your masculine energy is not self-directed, you're not a match for them. So, and one of the really magical things that happened this weekend is my favorite ex came back into my life in a really powerful way, which is super exciting. So when I was playing with this energy and just like, anyway, I'm not going to go into details on that, but like it can really, really amazing things happen when you play with this energy. When you have self-directed masculine energy, you are no longer demanding other people change. You are simply saying, the light's not good here. Let me put myself where the light is good. My favorite ex, my ex-boyfriend. So the tea that will be spilled later. Too soon to share anything more than that, but let's just say it's very, very, it's good. It's very, very good. So our self-directed masculine energy, our relationship with our integrity, our follow-through, our discipline, these are things that can sometimes scare us, because these are the things that have suffocated our feminine energy in the past. When we were made to feel like our feelings don't matter, like our intuition doesn't matter, and our intuition is just crazy and irresponsible, and like we have a lot of wounding around our masculine energy, most of us, and healing that is going to provide the riverbed to powerfully direct the feminine energy that there's a very good chance you've already got a pretty good level of mastery in your feminine energy. And what's really beautiful is when you heal your masculine energy, your feminine energy can rest, and it's easier to trust. It's easier to breathe. But when you don't have self-directed masculine energy, your feminine energy feels like she can't quite lean back, because this is like, I don't know that anything's going to catch me. So you can't even really fully be in your feminine energy in a healthy way, in a way that truly allows surrender and trust, without healing your masculine energy. It doesn't work. So this is, let me just make sure that I covered everything that I wanted to cover here before I move into talking about what's next. So yeah, you need to figure out what's your version of air, soil, sunlight, water on any given day. Like, it's going to change every single day. And having that loving attitude towards it, like, what do I need? And being attuned to yourself, because sometimes I will pick up my journal out of habit, and because I'm attuned to myself, I'll hear myself say, no, put it down, just sit with me. And so I'll put the journal down and I'll just sit with myself. Not everything needs to be journaled to death. The thing is you're not a project to be fixed. And I think a lot of you are probably treating yourself like you are. You're not a project to be fixed. Like, you're not, when you're watering a flower garden, it's not a project to be fixed. You're nurturing it. It's a very, very different energy. Yeah, okay. So for those of you who feel really complete in what I've taught today, we've ended like the teaching portion here. I'm going to talk about the portal. I'm really excited to tell you about the portal, and I've been making some tweaks to it that I'm really excited to talk about for the first time publicly here. So if you're deciding that you feel complete and you don't need to hear anymore, thank you so much for coming. I love you. Feel free to share this if you have any friends who you feel would really benefit from hearing it. Feel free to share this group with them. Tell them that you've just watched this masterclass and that it really touched something in you and you feel like it would be great for them. And for those of you who want to hear more, I'm going to tell you about the portal. So the portal, for those of you who have been in my world for a while already, you know that like the portal is a collection of monthly group programs. I'm not doing that anymore. The portal is now a year-long program. We're not cherry picking anymore. I'm not cherry picking like, oh, this month it's magnetic self-love and you can buy it separately. Not doing that anymore, because I realized that it's doing you a disservice. Thank you so much, Terry Lynn. It's doing everyone a disservice. So now the portal is my year-long program where you get everything. You get all of it. You get the self-love content. You get the dating and relationships and communication and manifesting and motherhood and leadership, and you get everything in the portal. There are almost 100 modules total, and there's about 8 modules delivered every month, and we have a different area of focus every month, so that by the time you spend a year with me, and you will have access to the content for life, by the way, when you spend a year with me, immersing yourself in all of these different modules and all of these different aspects and facets of femininity, of magnetic femininity, you'll walk out a different person. There's no way that you will not walk out a different person on the other side of this. People have manifested their soulmates. They have healed their relationships and their marriages. They have completely transformed their relationships with their family, with their kids, which is some of the most special ones for me, honestly, because the generational cycles that we break in the portal, it's really, really close to my heart. All of the people have manifested new homes in situations where it didn't make sense to. Gosh, what else? I can't even think straight at the moment, but like, people have, and they've also left relationships that weren't right for them. They found the courage and the power to choose more for themselves, even when on paper it didn't make sense. And so the way that people dive in and they immerse themselves and they really use it in whatever way works best for them, whether it's watching all the modules live or, you know, kind of jumping around and taking what they need at any given time, I don't care. Use it however you need to. Use it however you need to. But when you come out of a year with me, regardless of when you start, your relationship with yourself will be so intimate and connected and deepened, and holy is the word that's coming to me in the moment. It'll be sacred, which of course blooms out to your relationship with everybody else. Your relationship with your partner, with your kids, with your parents, with your friends, with your siblings, with your clients, with your coworkers. Like, there is no part of your life that is not deeply touched by everything that we do in the portal. Oh my goodness! I am so excited for you, Brie. So there's nothing that will not be deeply touched. Now the portal, the investment for the entire year of working with me, of having access to these like nearly 100 modules that are delivered over the course of a year, every month focusing on a different aspect, plus a group coaching thread where you can literally just pop into the thread and ask a question and I'll answer you. It's almost like one-on-one coaching, but it's a group thread, so there's multiple people in there. And there is a Facebook group, but it's mostly so that we have, like, where I put the announcements and stuff. It's the coaching thread, I think, is where more of the action happens. And yeah, so all of the programs plus the group coaching thread with me is $3,600 for the year, or $333 a month. Now, if you pay in full, what I'm also going to do is I'm going to throw in access to the last rounds that I did of Deeply Happy Woman, which is the section on healing your feminine energy, your emotions, like really digging deep into your emotional processes and healing that feminine energy. And Fucking Easy, which is about manifestation, is like the sexy manifestation. And so you won't have to wait until next year when those programs come around. When you pay month by month, you'll get the modules that are dripped out every month. And that's perfect too. But if you pay in full, then I'm going to also include the recordings of the last rounds that I did of those, so that you can dive right into those. And you will also, like I said, whether you pay in full or whether you pay month by month, you will have lifetime access to all of the materials. So you'll be able to go back as many times as you want to rewatch, to reintegrate, to listen on a deeper level. Yes, work through all of it. Absolutely. So the portal is, in my opinion, the best way. Like, if you are interested in deepening your relationship with your femininity and your masculinity, because this month the course that the portion that I'm going to be starting this weekend, which is what used to be called magnetic, but now, like I said, I'm not doing individual courses anymore, so this is the self-love portion of it. We're going to be healing our masculine. We're going to be going deep into like everything that I talked about today and more, deeper, and you're going to create that solid riverbed so that your feminine energy can, and like I said, if you decide to join the portal and you pay in full, you'll also have Deeply Happy Woman right away. So you can heal your masculine energy, heal your feminine energy, which is amazing. But otherwise, I will be running the content from Deeply Happy Woman again next year. So if you join the portal and you pay monthly, you'll still get access to it. Do you sprinkle the modules out throughout the year? Is it all available and self-driven where you go into? So I am going to be still delivering it monthly. Like it's going to be dripped out monthly. So this month, starting this weekend, I'm going to be doing the self-love portion. Next month is going to be all about like repolarizing your relationships, like that masculine feminine fire in your relationships. Then we're going to be going into leadership, and then we're going to be going into, I believe it's body confidence, because that's something new that I'm adding that I hadn't really talked about yet, but there you go. So it's all dripped out, and yeah, you get to go back to it for life as many times as you want. So whenever you join it, like this is rolling enrollment. There is no deadline to join this. If now doesn't feel like it's the right time for you, that's okay. You can always reach out to me and join later. Right now, this is what the price is, $3,600. And yeah, body confidence. Look, I have done so much work on the last couple of years. I'm so excited to teach on body confidence and your relationship with your body. Like, this has been such a big deal in my life these last few years. So there's a lot of gold coming in the portal. So for those of you who feel like, yes, I'm in, I want to do it. Like I said, it's $333 a month for 12 months or $3,600, totally up to you. And I would love to hear from you. You can DM me. That's what I'm trying to say. You can DM me and I will send you the link. Otherwise, I will post it in the group for those of you who want to snoop on the sales page a little bit. Maybe not make yourself known quite yet. I totally get that. So thank you so much for joining me. And if you're interested in working with me one-on-one in a more deeply connected way, then send me a message and I'll let you know what I've got going on at the moment. I do have some offers that are expiring August 31st. So if you want to work with me one-on-one, then you can reach out to me and I'll let you know what I've got going on at any given time. So thank you so much. I hope this masterclass landed as powerfully for you as I intended it. Feel it in the cells of your body, all these little desires just encoded, and all you got to do is nurture inward, bloom outward. I love you, you're exquisite, you're beautiful, and I will see you soon. Bye.